Hello, everyone. Please excuse if you heard Siri. Please excuse her. I don't understand why she pops up. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of the Rocks Entertainment Rant podcast. Today, we are doing something brand new. It's called the Off Season, where I'm going to rewatch 4 random seasons in the off season. I picked my 4 seasons. I chose Survivor Africa, and KAYLA immediately said, I want to be on it. So please welcome our guest, KAYLA.
Hello, everybody.
KAYLA, what made you want to be on this one?
One of my Survivor boyfriends, Silas, was on this one, and he's the sole reason why I chose it, and I bet you knew that.
Oh, I did. I just wanted to hear you say it.
Silas, if you're listening to this, you're one of my 20 Survivor boyfriends.
I should have reached out and tried to see. I should have tracked him down and reached out and tried to get him on.
Next time.
I did check with. Actually, I did. Spoiler alert! I did check with Teresa and Lex to see if they wanted to make appearances, but both are busy, unfortunately. So no, there will not be a random cameo from Silas, Lex, or Teresa. And the only other person I would think to get is either Ethan or Big Tom, but I don't even think Big Tom's on social media.
Probably not. And neither is Silas. I've checked, believe me.
Fair enough. There we go. So, I remember this was the first season of Survivor I watched all the way through. Because my first foray into Survivor was Scoopin', as you know, Scoopin' Falling in the Fire, and that was the merge. That was right before the merge of Australia, so I didn't really watch that season in its entirety. But I ended up watching Africa. I had it on DVD. I had to go find the box. And one of the things that shocked me was there was a countdown episode. And a return to from Africa thing, which we'll talk about at the end, I'm sure. But there was a countdown episode. Did you know that?
I had no idea about that. It wasn't on Hulu. Or maybe it was all the way at the end, I didn't see it, but I thought it would be at the beginning and it wasn't there.
You would think, right? Like, it threw me for a loop because I'm like, wait, the first episode was called Countdown to Africa? Like, that doesn't make sense for a Survivor title. I will say one of the things I did notice a lot of when watching this back was they didn't have a lot of the, like, there wasn't a lot of strategy talk, like, ever.
Definitely not. But that's the case in quite a few early seasons, like Borneo, for example. There was barely any strategy except for, like, Richard Hatch.
For sure. And Richard Hatch, you know, he's everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
He was everywhere. So they had the countdown show. Silas was first. I like to point that out to you. Silas was the first audition tape they showed in the countdown show because they showed audition tapes and they had the people from Borneo and Australia talking about events that happened in Survivor Australia and Borneo. Like, okay, who's this helping?
I have no idea. But showing the audition videos is cool.
There was some funny moments on the audition tapes. Like you see Lindsay Richter, like no clothes audition. You see Frank on a telephone wire getting attacked by Simba, a stuffed Simba or Mufasa. I just recognized it. I'm like, that's a Mufasa. It's interesting to see some of these audition tapes too, like these old school Survivor audition tapes.
Oh, definitely.
Because a lot of them didn't know what they were doing. And my biggest gripe with them was some of the people's audition tapes had their battery about to die.
Oh, geez.
And I'm like, charge your battery, people. And also seeing the dates on them was cool too.
Oh, yeah, because that's like a long time ago. I was probably only like 5 years old or something.
It was some of them were 2000 dated 2001. These audition tapes were made. So, yeah, you were probably 5 years old. I was like 8 years old. Like,
Yeah.
Like, just to see that. So, and then they also had Tina's bad reads because Tina thought that Clarence would do amazing and that Lindsay Richter would be the best player to ever play. Not literally, but
Yeah.
so that was pretty much the pre-show thing, the countdown show. Again, nothing there, but I watched it anyways. The only thing I skipped was the recap episode.
Oh, yeah, because we don't really need that.
No. So here we go. We got the one of my first major notes was the randomness of the young versus old beginning
Oh,
with
yes.
Samburu on the journey.
Yes, yes.
And there was an interesting fact that I wanted to point out about Frank that I think should have made him more endearing, but didn't because he was kind of a buttwad.
Yep.
Was he was expecting his third child, like as like when he went on the show, like they found out his wife was pregnant. So that
Yeah.
should have endeared us to him a little bit, you would think.
Yeah, but I think the personality just stuck out too much to make you feel a certain way.
Yes, the personality was terrible. And another thing I got here was the pre-made shelter. So they come in with a pre-made shelter already, which they kind of had to have because they would have died
Yes.
if they didn't. So that was nuts. And they were complaining about the water too, which was annoying.
Yeah, but also they had to go through all these extra steps for the water because they were literally in Africa.
Yeah, and well, they had to go through the extra steps until Baran won the fresh water
Yes, yes.
challenge. Love Tom. Can I just say straight up, love Tom.
Oh, Tom was a stellar, stellar guy, so I agree with that.
The casting of Tom was amazing, and if you think about it, Tom wasn't a bad Survivor player. Like he made it to fourth place and fifth place in both
Yes,
times he played. Like that's impressive.
yes, yes.
We have to give the guy his dues a little bit here. And I miss Tree Mail.
Oh, Trimo is the best.
Like them trying to like uncover the clues of the challenge and trying to figure stuff out. Like that was always like just a fun part that I miss.
Oh, definitely.
And we see it sometimes, but we don't see it back like so like a lot.
Yeah.
And okay, so they have some I think they had some extreme reactions to things because they were like there was a few moments in there where they were shocked about who got voted off.
Yeah.
And it was just like it was over the top. Like you guys don't know who's gonna like you don't know who's there. Like how the heck are you supposed to? You don't know the dynamics of what's going on. And then so we'll skip a little bit ahead because there's like I said, I didn't take notes on every episode, like every event that happened, because that would have just been like a whole booklet full of stuff.
Oh, yes.
But the
There's
gross
only one event that is super important to talk about, and I'm sure we're
or
gonna go over
oh, we probably will.
it.
The gross food challenge was just blood and milk.
Oh, yes, that one's one of the few things in my notes. Linda eating the cow blood. That made it to my notes.
That here we go. Like right before I actually did Silas. Silas was the swing vote, but Silas will beat Silas to death on this
Oh,
podcast. I'm
yes,
sure.
and that Silas is the one important event. I knew we'd get to him.
Yeah, well, uh, like so Sim didn't realize, but some really didn't know, but also I forgot about Cherrygate. Like when Clarence took an extra cherry and then took beans for Diane.
Oh, yes, CB and the food also in my notes.
CB and the food. Like I can't believe I skipped. Oh, I can't believe I missed that one. Like, because it's like it was. I put Cherrygate. Like this is.
Yeah, well, we both had it in our notes written as a slightly different thing, but we both knew what it was.
Yeah. Did they overreact a little bit?
Yeah, it
Like
was
in the
so extra, but at the same time, you're all starving. You're not going to be thinking straight.
True, and I don't think Tom was really thinking straight when that because he had a fit.
Yeah.
But like I mean, like old school Survivor, you see like the food was the biggest issue. Like now it's who has an advantage and who has an idol.
As I wish I could have played on old school Survivor, but again, I was like 5.
You could have got on. I'm sure they would have let a 5-year-old running around out
Yeah,
there.
that sounds safe and legal to start a 5-year-old like that.
You should have let an 8-year-old. Like I could have applied. I would have applied too. I wanted to apply. I actually printed off an application, but my grade 8 science teacher threw it in the garbage because we used his
That's rude.
printer. Right?
That's rude.
I never ended up applying because like you had to send a video back then, and I didn't know how to even do that.
I didn't have any phone or anything to film with. I just had like my parents' video camera, but I didn't know how to use it. I was 5.
Well, yeah, it was the probably the video. You didn't. I don't think there was phones or there wasn't the modern age cell phones back then.
No,
Oh God, that was the Stone Age.
I don't even know if there was phone. I mean, there probably was some semblance of cell phones, but I don't know.
I think it was like the big clunkers, like like
Yeah.
the clunky
Yeah, there was no iPhones back then.
things, and yeah, because that's why I also have the extreme reaction and the teaching him a lesson. Because Tom ends up voting Clarence twice that
Yeah,
round to quote teach him a lesson. What lesson are you teaching the guy by voting for
yeah.
him? Like I mean,
Very,
back then it could have hurt his game, but still.
very ridiculous, but because he was strong in challenges, so he really shouldn't have been like such an early boot. So voting him, like just putting your votes on him just for the food was kind of silly.
It was. It was very silly. And it was just like insane to me that like they thought that that was like just teaching him a lesson. Although, granted, back then we know that the way the ties worked was votes cast against you.
Yep.
So that could have came into play later on. It
Yes.
didn't, or it does, but not with him, with somebody else.
Yes. Yes.
But it was just mind-boggling to me. So yeah, the gross food thing was blood and milk, and I forgot Samburu won 3 challenges in a row to start the game.
Yes.
Like, because I remember it being a little more evenly matched than it was.
That's what I remembered. I literally remembered Jessie being on the opposite tribe, which is so funny. But she wasn't on the opposite tribe. I don't know why in my brain she was, because I thought like that it like went back and forth with the challenges.
Yeah. No, it was that was a little bit of an extreme thing because I like said I thought it was more one side, and it should have been more one sided, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, but it wasn't. It eventually they evened it out, and thank God they did because they threw in their twist, which we'll get to.
That twist.
And so Reebok was a sponsor. I forgot Reebok was a sponsor because they were wearing Reebok everything.
Oh, yes.
The buffs were Reebok, the shirts were Reebok, the sports bra that Kelly was wearing was Reebok, like everything was Reebok.
Yep.
God, I miss that. I don't
I
miss
miss
that.
luxury items too.
I miss luxury items too. They should allow them to bring something back. Do you think my hat would count as a luxury item?
No, I think it would count as clothing.
Okay. Fair enough. Just trying to figure out what's taboo and what's not taboo on Survivor.
I said my luxury item would be like a notebook with a pen.
Oh yeah, take notes. Take notes on what
I
you're
would love
learning
to
from
just
people.
take notes on like the tribals, vote counts, challenges, notes on the players, like all that kind of stuff, and have it all written down.
Be well prepared.
Yes.
Be the most prepared human being. You gotta promise me though, if you do ever get on Survivor, your first interview, postseason interview, is gonna be with me.
That's like not even a question. That is not even a question. You know
Done.
it.
Yes. There we go. You heard it here first, folks. The Survivor 47 winner, KAYLA, will be
Ooh.
interviewed by me.
47 is my number, so it's destiny.
There we go, right? And the one thing I didn't like in the old school days was Carl's rich storyline came up. Like, because they asked him, like, what kind of cars he owns, and they were doing it to kind of insinuate that he doesn't need the money.
Yeah.
He doesn't need who couldn't use $1 million extra?
Exactly. Especially people have families. They're gonna want to help their families.
For sure. And, like, Frank has a kid on the way. Are you saying Frank doesn't deserve the money?
They'll just look for any reason to vote
Because he's a
somebody out.
terrible person? Like, I mean, he still has a kid on the way.
Exactly. Like, I know he wasn't my favorite because his personality rubbed me the wrong way. But strangely enough, like, as the season went on, I did start to develop more of a soft spot for him.
Yeah, you can't. I agree, and like I forgot how much I didn't like him, and how much like I also like was like, okay, well, like I'm kind of in. This guy's kind of endearing until his boot episode.
Yes.
Then you remember why you don't like him to begin with, because they
Yes. Yes. Yes.
editors purposely threw in that thing to hit the nail on the head that he's going home. And then we got here Jeff's running because Jeff they had the boulder challenge and Jeff's running beside it is just the funniest thing ever. It's like
Uh,
he can't keep up. Like
mm-mm.
I thought he was gonna like hop on a helicopter and fly to the top. Do you remember that one reunion where he went on a skidoo and they insinuated that he skidooed all the way from the location to the reunion?
I haven't watched it. If this was like an older season, I haven't watched
It would have
those in
been an older season. I think it was 4, but I'll have to double check.
I haven't seen 4 in a long time.
That should be the next off season.
Yeah,
4 should
apparently
be one of them.
whenever I go to rewatch old Survivor seasons, I just find myself rewatching Borneo until Greg Buis gets out every single time, and I always stopped after his boot every single time without fail on my rewatch. Talk about
It's
favorites.
hilarious.
He's another one of my 20 Survivor boyfriends.
So many. You got so many of them.
I really have. I have not had them every season. I've had them roughly half of the seasons, which is why I say 20, not 45.
There you go. Like, hey, at least you're not. At least there's some seasons where you're like, okay, I draw a line here. Like, I'm not interested in anybody on this season.
Yes, yes.
The boulder ran over Kim and Kelly. Kim J and Kelly. I'd like to point that out too. Which was just hilarious.
Oh, yes.
Another challenge I miss is the SOS challenge. Like the immunity challenge where they have to make an SOS and like go all crazy.
Oh, that one was so fun.
And this one was really the funnest iteration of it.
Oh, yes, yes.
Like it was just awesome. And the Samburu one said 505. I'd like to point that out. Like it wasn't SOS. They put 505.
Now I'm trying to picture a 5 and an S in my head. Yeah, I could see it.
Like that's what it looked like to me. But I
5
mean,
and S, they both face the same direction.
yeah. But I think 5 and S's are the same, but like it looked identical to me.
Yeah, yep.
It looked for sure identical.
5,
And
yeah.
they had we had the Sambaru's first tribal council introduced Necklace Gate, where Lindsay made necklaces for 4 members of the tribe and no necklaces for anyone else, clearly showing off the division
Yeah.
that is within this tribe, which leads to a 4-4 tie.
Yes.
And then the Revo, which was again another 3-3 tie. And the one thing that I found funny was the plead your case nonsense. So Jeff sits back down. It's like, okay, we have a tie. I'm going to give you each a chance to plead your case as to why you think you should stay. As if that's going to change anything.
Right?
Spoiler alert, it doesn't. And there's no rocks yet, so they have to go to trivia based on some wilderness guide they had to read.
Fun stuff.
I'm going to be honest, if I was on the show, I would be out in this situation. If I was on this season, I would have been out in this situation because there's ain't no
Oh
way
yeah.
I'm reading a survival guide. I
Mm-mm.
got no time for that shit. I'm
I have
thinking about
ADHD.
winning.
I have ADHD. It would not end well. I would read the first sentence over and over again and then give up.
Like it just is. Ugh, it was just too much. And so this starts beginning of the downfall of Silas, as Silas basically screws himself. Like he
Yeah.
goes back to camp and they make a big deal of this. Huge, like they make a huge deal of this tribe thing, and it really does screw him
Yes.
over later on, which is just insane to me that you would let that happen.
Yes. But to be fair, I do know that Silas was kind of an ass, but he was very hot, so I just let everything he did slide, which is totally not acceptable. That is not okay. But I loved him for some reason. Even though I just saw him being such an asshole, I just loved him, and I don't know why.
The whole time I'm watching it, I'm in my head thinking, why did she have a crush on him? Like, this doesn't make any sense. And now you
I
clarified.
A lot of people judged me. I think everyone said I'm probably like the only one who had a crush on Silas.
Ain't nobody judging you on this podcast, Kayla.
I judged myself for that. My first time watching whatever. I was a teenager, watched like my first rewatch in college or whatever. So that's when it happened. But because obviously like my first time as like a 5-year-old, like I'm not. But when I watched it in college, I was like, he's hot, crush, done.
There you go. Yeah.
And then now I'm like, he was such an asshole, but he's hot, so of course I had a crush on him. I would have gone for it 10 out of 10.
There you go. The danger was definitely real on this game. Because
Yes.
they had like a lion showing up and random wildebeest here and there. I loved it, personally.
Yes. I would love
And
another season there.
yeah, exactly. Like I think that would be amazing. And so then the Silas downfall officially begins. As the end of the episode that Linda gets voted off, the announcer comes on. You with the next time on, and I went looking for this on YouTube because I wanted to pull it up for this thing. Spoiler alert: I couldn't find it. The announcer says, "For the you think you know this survivor, you think you know the game, but in the first 15 minutes, don't miss it because something changes." It's the first ever tribe swap.
Yeah. Silas, first ever victim of a tribe swap. See, he made
First
Survivor history.
first swap screwed.
Yeah, my two original Survivor boyfriends both made Survivor history because one of them was the first individual immunity winner and first ever juror, and then the other one was the first victim of the tribe swap.
There you go. And
I choose them well.
you do. Like, it's hard to believe that back in this day, like a tribe swap was like so iconic that it was like, oh, this has never been done before. Oh my god! And now it's done to death.
Yes, I agree. I would love to see like a back to old school season of Survivor, and I think I should be on it because I'd rather be on old school.
Agreed. Agreed. You and me will probably never get to play a 39-day season,
Yes.
and that sucks. That's what sucks.
Yeah.
And but it does begin the downfall of Silas and the rise of this season's true GOAT, T-Bird.
Ah, I love T-Bird.
T-Bird is awesome.
I love T-Bird.
T-Bird is amazing. And T-Bird does in this first moments, like when she gets swapped, she immediately goes and spills everything. And I
Yeah.
love it. We're here for it. Like, let's go. And I kind of like Brandon too, a little bit. Brandon was okay in the early
Yeah.
stages. of
Yep.
this. I got that here. But and then these reactions is just because like Lindsay's reaction to the swap was just like these people were just in disarray,
Yep.
like they lost their best friend. And in a way, Lindsay was swap screwed too.
Oh, definitely.
And it was just also like the like I said, like even the Ethan's reaction was kind of hilarious because he's like, I thought they were gonna come try and steal our flag or something, but nope, they're part of our tribe now.
Yep.
Like
And
this is
poor
where old school
Tyler
Survivor,
alienates himself.
yeah. Look, and this is where old school Survivor players' minds went. Was they thought that they were stealing stuff and doing this. Like nowadays, if you see somebody new coming to your beach, you know it's like probably a swap
Yes, or a partial swap.
or a partial swap. And hilariousness is they pointed out the laziness of the young Samburu people because they were super lazy.
Oh, yes.
They were hella lazy. And not they pointed out that they said there's not much wood around here. And Lex and Tom come back with like a huge pile, like as
Yep.
high as me. I'm like, okay, you people are kind of losing your marbles here. And I've got here, Tom should nail this because they then go into a challenge where it's goat herding.
Yes. When Silas just all by himself and nobody else even is trying because they're trying to throw it to get him out, and it was
Yeah,
just
that was
so
that
funny.
was the challenge after actually. This was the goat herding was the reward challenge. It was the
Oh, the
puzzle that
reward one? Because I know he
yeah,
was like doing something all by himself.
he was carrying two goats. Like woo. But it was enter the challenge though, because Ethan has a brilliant idea to throw the immunity challenge to get Silas out.
And it was so rude.
Right? That is just
If you
incredibly
throw a
rude.
challenge, that gives your tribe bad juju.
It really or it should. It didn't really give him bad choo-choo. It
But
should have given him
usually,
bad choo-choo.
usually.
Usually it does. Not in this case. In this case, it worked. So this isn't Zapatera.
Yep.
And that's where the rise and the fall of Silas happens. As Silas was doing so well, pissed off the wrong people, got swapped with the wrong people, got voted off
Yes.
unceremoniously.
I was so mad. I was probably the only one watching who was like so mad about it. Most people were probably like, woohoo, he's gone. And I was like, no.
I mean, I wasn't like, woohoo, he's gone. But granted, I think 8-year-old me didn't really like fully comprehend everything that was going on. Like 8-year-old me doesn't there was a lot of like serious like social topics in this season too that like probably went over 5-year-old and 8-year-old 5-year-old you, 8-year-old me's heads.
Yes,
That now
yes.
you watch back, it's like this is really cringe.
Oh, yes.
Some of the shit that comes out of these people's mouth is like
Yeah.
probably really cringe.
But I like, because I like to go to the place of 19-year-old me watching it, because that's a lot more iconic, because that's when I got the crush. I was 19.
There you
And
go.
that explain it all. I was a 19-year-old college kid. We know how college kids are. And which brain or which head they think with, and it's not their brain.
Granted, that's a fair point. But it was just like I said, there was a lot, and there was even like a lot of like homophobic stuff on this too. It's like
Oh,
with Brandon, that was just
yes.
that was probably the reason Frank didn't like Brandon,
Yes.
and which is why you can't be endeared to Frank after that.
Yes. Which there's a different way to go about it, which we saw in season 1 with Rudy.
Yeah, there definitely is. Uh, so yeah, so and then I love Jeff because Jeff was throwing the you guys are basing your this whole thing on the assumption that there's a merge coming, like which was hilarious to me because it's like okay, so he's just rocking this boat.
Yes.
He for sure is just incredibly rocking this boat, which is hilarious because it was fun. And Samburu was just young and lazy. Like that's
Yeah.
all it was. They're
Oh,
just young and
definitely.
lazy. Lex and Tom discovered that early on that they're just young and lazy and don't want to do anything. They wanted to
Yeah.
treat this like a vacation to
Yeah, no.
Africa. I mean, and so then we get one of the funnier bits of the season where Clarence really wants to eat this chicken.
Yeah.
He wants to eat this chicken so bad. So they say if the chicken doesn't lay an egg, he's getting eaten. But if he lays an egg, he's not getting eaten. Then he lays an egg and they put it on the thing. And Clarence gets up and he sees the egg and he has the, oh, hell no. I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. Go to the chickens. I hate all of you. You suck. But then they end up eating the chicken anyways,
Yeah.
which
Clarence's
was
whole like, edit was just surrounded food, basically.
pretty much, I mean, like he wanted food. He got food. Like it was just,
That
it
was literally
was,
the majority of his edit right there. Food.
and it was fun. It was fun to watch.
Oh, I enjoyed Clarence. I did. Why was Silas my crush instead of Clarence? Like, seriously.
Because it's something we'll talk about in a minute. And then we have the iconic sit it line where Jeff tells Lindsay to sit it when the votes come out a tie, and she's like, it's okay, guys, it's okay. And he's like, what are you doing? You're not out. You're not out yet. Sit it. Now we're gonna have you guys plead your case as if that's gonna help, as if we
Yep.
already don't know what's gonna happen. And she goes on a long soliloquy about how she didn't vote Brandon and that makes her so happy.
Yep.
Although if
Yep.
she had voted Brandon, it just would have been a 3-2-1 vote for her to go out instead of a 3-3.
Yes.
And her 4 past votes coming to haunt her,
Oh, yes.
which was hilarious. And the next episode kind of begins the Kelly and Lex rivalry,
Yes. Yes.
which I loved personally. I wish that one had lasted a little bit longer than it did.
Oh, yeah.
But the Kelly versus Lex rivalry was just chef's kiss. Like they
Yes.
didn't like each other.
Although that's not my favorite, which isn't really a rivalry, but I think that's a bit later. With the T-Bird and Lex, not really rivalry, but
It wasn't. I don't really think it was a rivalry as much. I think it was just a
it
T-Bird.
was.
T-Bird was a legend. Like, let's be real here.
Well, Lex had a rivalry on whoever wrote his name down, just didn't know exactly who it was.
Basically, yeah. He's just like, who wrote my name down? He's like Rupert. Who wrote? Why did you write my name down? Rah. I remember that. I remember that so vividly. I hate that I remember that so vividly because Rupert's like my worst Survivor player ever.
Well, I think there's nothing I remember more vividly than Greg Buis. I was like obsessed with all of the funny moments of him. So don't worry, I have some very vivid memories of Survivor players too.
And then we get the When It Rains, It Pours challenge, which I loved. I love seeing this challenge, and I love seeing like the old school version of it. And this one lasted like 6 hours. I'd like to point out too, which is good. You don't see challenges lasting that long anymore.
Every once in a while, but it's not very often.
One of the most iconic moments of this, there was a couple. One was T-Bird singing, "The sun will come out tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow." There's a funny story that's relatable because yesterday I was watching Name That Tune with my parents, and that song came up.
Hmm.
And I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to go on a podcast tomorrow to talk about her singing this song. And it's
Yeah,
coming up on
that's a great song though. That's a great
it
song.
really is. It really is. I love it. And T-Bird singing it was just legendary. And
Yeah.
everyone's just like applauding her and she
Yes.
nailed it.
Love T-Bird. I have her as a friend on Facebook, and we wish each other happy
So
birthday
do
on our
I.
birthdays.
So do I. I tried to, like I said, I tried to get her on for this. 6 people, 1 burger. They had the food. They were giving away food, and it was nobody wanted it, so they gave a burger to 6 people. And they didn't cut it or anything. Like each person took a bite and passed it around. Is that not disgusting?
I'm a germaphobe. I could never.
Right? We're like we're in the time like back then where nobody cared. Like nowadays you're not seeing that ever.
No, I would have to cut it first.
Yeah, you're not seeing that ever nowadays. Like, but that
No.
was just gross. Like I was like, this looks like the gross eating challenge.
Yeah, ugh. I'm too germophobic for stuff like that.
Oh, 1000%. Me too. The reason you don't like Clarence is because of what happens next. It's down to him and T-Bird in the challenge. And he decides, let's go to rock, paper, scissors to decide this. For $1 million. Rock, paper, scissors. Because he gets voted out in this episode.
Yep.
$1 million rock, paper, scissors. Like, how is this not in the dumbest moves in Survivor history category?
I don't know.
All right. You and me, really quick. We're going to go rock, paper, scissors right now. Ready?
All right. Rock.
KAYLA beats me.
I had
All right.
rock. And
All
you
right.
had scissors, just so they know.
Yeah. Well, this might be the video though it's gonna be a video version of this up too. But yeah, she had rock, I had scissors. Or no.
Yeah, I had rock, you had scissors.
Yeah, I had rock, you had scissors. Or no,
No, I had rock.
You had rock, I had
rock.
scissors.
Yes.
And talk.
Statistically speaking, most people start with scissors, and I don't know why that is, but that's just statistics. So I usually start with rock due to that statistic.
Okay, I'll drop out of this immunity challenge. KAYLA, you have won immunity, and your prize is you now get to run the rest of this podcast, and I'm gonna go away. No, I'm just kidding. But it was baffling. But now it's the time of Survivor that is also most exciting. The merge. Or as they called it back then, the merger.
Woohoo!
Did you know they called it the merger?
No.
Yeah, see, I didn't know. And then there was, like I said, I got here, top of the notes was some questionable quotes, and I don't remember why that's there, but it's there. Basically, this is the beginning of Godfather Lex.
Yes.
Lex becoming this season's Godfather. Because he then just dictates that it's Clarence. And he goes to Clarence, and he's like, Clarence, it's you. And nobody else can tell him but Lex.
You know, if that was a new school, everyone would just turn the vote on to Lex.
Exactly. Like, why he didn't play in that season, I had no idea. New school seasons. Get him back. Bring him back. Like, let's see if he can do that now.
I would love to see that happen.
Me too. I love Lex. Lex is one of my favorites this season too.
Yes,
like,
I think I also have Lex on Facebook. So I friended all like the important people.
Yeah, for sure. T-Bird with the rogue vote. I love it.
That's one of my all-time favorite moments of the entire season, and that made it into my paragraph. T-Bird voting for Lex.
It was so iconic too, because unfortunately it screws one of my favorites, Kelly, out of the game. But it was so worth it.
Yes.
Because it was hilarious. And then he comes back with his bruised ego.
Yep. But he needed to be knocked down a few notches. And if this was New School Survivor, everyone would have followed T-Bird's lead.
Absolutely. Everyone would 1000% have followed T-Bird's lead on that.
Like she was ahead of her time. She was literally ahead of the time. She would probably do better in New School than a lot of the other old school players.
The biggest travesty in Survivor history was her not getting voted in for second chances.
I know. I would have loved to see her again.
That was the biggest injustice I've ever seen in my life.
Yes.
And it was never rectified.
She should have been on All Star. She should have, or Second Chances, either or.
Where was T-Bird on Game Changers? Like,
I
she's
don't
literally a
know.
game changer.
Yeah.
This is the definition of game changer. She went rogue and it worked
Yes.
because it got like Kelly booted.
Yeah.
What are you people doing? It was just that's the biggest travesty. And
Oh
T-Bird, when you
yeah.
listen to this, you'll know we love you.
Oh
And
yes. All the love for T-Bird. All of the love.
biggest injustice, hands down.
T-Bird deserves to come back.
Absolutely. And trading the goats I thought was funny because they had the Ethan winning the reward challenge and they gave him goats and they had to trade the goats for money and then they had to go get food. They ate fries and then they had to trade a bunch of their stuff for items, which I thought was just again old school Survivor. It's interesting.
Yes, yes.
It's interesting to go back to a time of this. And Kim P was good socially. I got here. Kim Powers, she was good socially.
Oh, definitely.
Little Kim, like you gotta admire her chutzpah because she was great socially.
Yes, yes.
Poor Kelly,
Yeah.
because Kelly gets just pigeonholed here, and I think T-Bird felt guilty enough that she was trying to get Lex voted off.
Yeah.
That entire helping her with that move to try and get Lex voted off because she felt guilty about her being pigeonholed. But then it's this was again the biggest screw up I've ever seen in my life was they showed the swing vote for that vote because Brandon was the swing vote that vote.
Yeah.
They showed his vote at that tribal council. So if you're truly paying attention, you now know how the vote's gonna fall.
Oh,
They would never
yes.
do nowadays.
Mm-mm.
Like they didn't show any votes. But Brandon screwed this up. He
Oh,
should
yeah.
have voted Lex.
Yeah. Then the dominoes just fell.
Pretty much. It was just poor end. And he didn't even get any farther. Like he's voted off in the very next episode.
Yeah, which he kind of did it to himself.
Yeah. But and it was the Frank factor. It was because he didn't want to align or associate with Frank. What are you
But you know
doing?
what's funny? There were some points where like you thought that they were gonna like align together because they were kind of an unlikely duo in some parts. I don't think ever for like voting, but I think what was it, like that reward or something that it was just the two of them.
Yeah, they showed signs when they got to their reward was just them working together kind of thing. But it was
Yeah,
mostly Brandon yelling at him to get moving.
yes, but I thought that if I wrote in my notes the unlikely duo of them because they were at the reward together.
Yeah, it was interesting to see. We see Lex kind of spiraling, thinking he screwed up, and Ethan was 100% right about Brandon because Ethan and him have that conversation where he's like, he's gonna be loyal to you. He has no loyalty to me, to Tom. It's just to you. Hit the nail on the head.
Yep.
And we don't talk a lot about Ethan, but I would like to point one thing out with Ethan is he was just a social winner. Like he wasn't really a physical threat winner or strategic
No,
winner.
definitely not. But he
Like,
was
cause he
very
won,
silly.
yeah, he won 2 challenges. Like that's it.
Yeah, but he was a very likable person. Very, very likable person.
Oh yeah, 1,000%. I don't think there's anybody out there who can say, you know who I don't like? That Ethan guy from
So true.
Survivor.
He was my friend Monica. That Ethan was her crush of that season because we were doing like rewatching together in college. So
Yeah,
we were both the same age. So we both had our little Survivor crushes from that season. And she chose like the nicest person in the entire cast, and I chose one of the biggest assholes in the entire cast.
Everyone, everyone wants to pick the winner as their favorite or as their crush. Nobody wants to pick the non-winners.
Nobody wants to pick the asshole who got screwed pre-merge because of being an asshole, but he was the hottest one, so it made sense.
Yeah, pretty much. Just okay. And then the Mountain Dew sponsorship. Mountain
Yeah.
Dew sponsored this, which I thought was
Woo!
funny. The sponsorships on this were just like weird.
Yeah.
They seemed out of place,
Oh, definitely.
which I thought was odd. And Ethan and Kim foreshadowed because Ethan and Kim were partnered together in the Final Eight Immunity Challenge,
Yep.
which I was like, okay, so they're foreshadowing it. And it was Little Kim and Big Tom, which I thought was hilarious. Those two were
Oh,
just
yes.
adorably funny. Um, and Brandon yelling at Frank was just again hilarious.
Oh,
In that
definitely.
reward challenge, he just barking orders at Frank to move, 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 which I thought was just hilarious.
Yes,
And
yes.
his reaction to at the end was like, "I want a date with Frank. I want a date with Frank." I
The
bet you
two,
Frank loved that.
the two of them together just so iconic.
Yeah, it was
Unlikely
an
duo, as I called it.
unlikely duo, and I got here saved your neck but not theirs because Lex is like trying to pitch to keep Brandon, and he's like, Brandon saved our necks. It's like, no, Brandon saved your neck. He didn't save any of their necks. They would I think Big Tom and Ethan would have been fine if Lex went home there.
Yeah.
Like they could have done something. They could have figured something out. Like Kelly would have came back to them or something. I don't know, but like it was just.
Oh, yes.
And then flipping bought you 3 days. Congratulations, Brandon. You flipped on your best friend Kim Powers, and it bought you 3 days.
Yeah. How
And
rude.
right, and he voted her butt. She voted his butt out,
As she should. As she should.
as she should. I agree.
The last
And
one of the BFFs. That's what I
yeah,
called that crew, the younger Simber. I called them the BFFs.
it makes sense. They were BFFs, and Lex is 1000% playing for the jury
Yep.
here because he votes to keep Brandon, and he's just playing for the jury at this point. That's all
Oh,
he's doing. And y'all will be eaten because they show a bit with the lion like nearby, like the camp at night. And I thought, like, y'all will be eaten by a lion or tiger at some point.
oh yeah.
I'm
Oh,
surprised they didn't get eaten, honestly. Like, that was just insane that they were that close. And then the auction is coming because we get the Survivor auction,
oh, I
and
love the Survivor auction.
we love
So
a good
glad,
auction.
so
Yeah,
glad it.
45 when they brought it back, that was iconic.
Yes, yes.
Iconic. But this one will always be kind of also a little bit iconic. Because we get like them eating the food and ordering the
Yeah.
food. Tom has one of the most iconic lines in the history of Survivor, and I apologize if this offends anybody, but this is what he said, not what I said, okay? He ordered him and Ethan order like split food, and it's a covered item, and he rips up the cover, and it's pancakes, bacon, or like ham, and like some stuff. He's like, he's a Jew, he won't eat the ham, and he's celebrating that. Like he's a Jew, he won't eat the ham, and it's an iconic line.
I
It's
remember that.
terrible.
I remember that very well, especially because Ethan and I, we are the same. We are both of the same.
Yeah. And I apologize if that line offended you in any way, shape, or form. It didn't
Oh,
offend Ethan.
I was not offended. I thought it, as a Jewish person, I found it absolutely hilarious.
It was pretty fun. Like I will say, it was pretty funny. And Ethan later does say after, like in a confessional, like I didn't take offense to it. Like it's just like Like, if other people take offense to it, that's on them. Like, I didn't take offense to it.
Yeah.
Like,
No, it
because
was funny.
I think at that point too, like he's lived with Tom for what has been 27 days. Like they know who Tom is.
Yes.
And I love Tom. Like, let's be real here. Love
Yeah.
Tom
Yes.
podcast. And it later leads to the moment where they talk about Tom, like people like are trying to understand him, and Lex says that like that endeared him to him that because he thinks he was smarter than he is. And Tom is checker hustling. They're playing checkers, and he's just hustling.
Oh, yes, yes.
Here is another immunity that they need to bring back: the folklore.
Oh my gosh, folklore is literally my favorite. Like I still do folklore in my online survivor game at Final Five because that's when it was in Borneo.
It's iconic. It needs to be brought back.
It's literally up there like on my all-time favorite survivor challenges. Like if you were to literally put a list of every single survivor challenge that ever existed, folklore would easily make it to top five, if not literally take the number one spot.
Absolutely. Like, Survivor producers, if you're listening, we want folklore back.
Bring folklore back. I literally have folklore almost every season in my online survivor game because it's one of the best challenges.
It is. Bring it back. Keep it around. Lex ends up winning 2 in a row here because he wins his second immunity in a row. Lex was the challenge beast of this season. Like, let's be real.
Definitely.
Like, and then Frank is nuts because then Frank goes off on his. They show Frank going off on his political tirade, which I tried to remember, but it was just too cringe to remember.
I couldn't remember it either. I think I tuned it out because I was just rolling my eyes too hard.
It wasn't good. Like, it really wasn't good.
No.
But what was good was T-Bird's trying. Like, T-Bird was trying everything at this point. Like, she's throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks.
Oh, definitely.
Like, she's just going through everything. Wow, we are on the last page of notes. I'd like to point that out.
Oh, yay, perfect. It's been roughly an hour, and so that's good. That's perfect.
Oh no, second last page of notes. Sorry. My bad. Jump
Well,
the gun.
okay. We got this.
And I got here by Frankie Boy because Frank is eliminated in this episode, and
Woo!
kind of good. Like I was glad.
That one I had a very different reaction than Silas's elimination. So that one I feel like I was more with the majority.
I think everyone was pulling for Frank to be booted at that point.
Yeah.
Like, even rewatching it, you're just like, yeah, he needs
Although
to.
Frank did grow on me at some points, I think I was ready.
Yeah. Then they go to the family videos, and the family videos are weird. Like, these were just awkward.
Well, I don't think any family video tops the weirdness factor of a certain one in season one.
I'll have to rewatch season 1 at some point in my
Yeah,
life.
my Survivor boyfriend of season one's family video was probably the weirdest one I had ever seen. And then people's confessionals were, oh, it looks like the crazy runs in the family. Because Greg Buis was crazy, and that's why I was so attracted to him because he was absolutely crazy and hilarious, and he was clearly playing for the entertainment factor.
Crazy like a fox.
I guess I'm into crazies. I'm into assholes. Wow, I'm doing great for myself.
Oy, I love it. Yeah, the family, and then I got here. That's not his actual credit card because Lex wins the reward challenge, and Jeff's like, "I'm giving you guys my personal credit card to use for this air balloon
But
thing." That's not his credit card. They just put his name on it
yeah,
because I'm pretty sure that's what we call in the industry credit fraud.
yeah.
Like, you can't be doing that. I think maybe they stopped him eventually. Tom got drunk this episode, which was just hilarious. Tom just goes crazy drunk, and then they get up and they go for their hot air balloon ride, and I'd be afraid of falling out of the hot air balloon.
Oh, yes. I've never gone on a hot air balloon before.
Neither have I, because I'm mostly scared of falling out.
I'm scared of heights, but I would still try it.
I think I would too, but like I said, it just seemed like it was nuts. And they show a lion eating a wildebeest.
Yum.
But okay, so where were we? Oh yeah, it later leads into the Kim Peas boot, which was basically just a nothingness.
Yeah.
Like I said, these seasons could have benefited from a 90-minute format, because we
Oh,
could have got a lot more
yes, definitely.
than we did. But there was a ton going on here, and yeah, so Kim B and then they talk about them smelling each other's feet, and it's like, why are you smelling each other's feet?
Ew.
Like Ethan said, like Tom's feet smell the worst out of everyone's. It's like, what are you doing smelling his feet?
That's gross.
Thank you. Like that's disgusting.
I would never. If everyone was saying that, I'd run away because that just grosses me out.
Absolutely. And I got here. Oh, the days of them giving away a car.
Oh, I
The
remember.
car curse. Lex wins a car.
Then
The
you know
old,
you're playing the game.
yeah, the old adage: you win the car, you don't win the game. I
Yeah.
kind of wonder if that's actually true, but well, I'm sure. I think it is, but
Oh, I know superstitious for sure, but I can't think of a single person who won the car who went on to win the game.
I agree. Like I don't miss that for sure. But I don't think. Do you miss the car? Do you think they should have brought it back and give people a car in this season?
I'm fine without it. I don't have like a strong missing of it like I do with stuff like folklore or like the auction.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like I think they did the right call. Not. I think no car dealership also wants to sponsor this anymore and give away a free car.
Yeah, no,
They're
no
like
way.
they're giving away thousands of dollars worth of free cars.
Mm-mm. They're probably done with that. And I'm done
Uh,
with it too.
And then T-Bird was just great. T-Bird
Yeah.
was phenomenal here, and she's trying everything, even in her dying moments after Lex wins immunity. She's trying. T-Bird really did embody the phrase "never giving up" and
Oh yeah.
embodied
Yes.
like go, just pushing and pushing and pushing and not giving up. And it was hilarious to watch. Or it wasn't hilarious. It was sad to watch.
Yeah.
I didn't want to see that. Who wants to
Mm-mm.
see that, right? So ultimately, we get down to the final four. It's Kim versus Ethan versus Lex versus Tom. Then there were
Yeah.
four. I mean, do you remember when you and me did that Survivor 45 finale
Yep.
with Matt? And I asked, did Jeff, was this like, does we have to see Jeff like at the beginning of the finale?
Yep.
And
Yep.
we were wondering, like, does he do it in old school? Like, did he
Yep.
show up? The answer is no, he didn't. Just FYI.
Well, go back to old school.
Go back to old school is right.
Well, I feel
Especially if
like
you're
there's
not gonna
so many things. So many things. That is one of them.
Yeah, especially if you're not gonna like do the reunion show anymore. Like go back to
I
go
missed
back
the
to the good old
reunion
days.
show. That was like the best part, according to my mom and I. Oh wow, I'm surprised this is the first time I'm bringing up my mom.
Hey, like an hour in, you're finally bringing up your mom.
I brought
Yay!
up like every other sentence last time
Yeah, for
because
real.
we watched
Hey,
it together. Because we watched
shout
it together, so
yeah,
it kind of just made sense.
shout out to KAYLA's mom,
Yes.
the creator. But they recap it, and Jeff does show up in the recap, and I love that they recap Like I love the recap because it's kind of like, okay, if you don't watch it for a few days, like you get a recap, which I didn't. I watched it a couple days after because I was
Uh,
going through the discs because it was disc 1, disc 2, disc 3, disc 4, disc 5. Finale
Yep,
was on disc 5.
that makes sense.
And so, but the recap and this this kind of starts the beginning of Lex crumbling because Lex is just spiraling out of control here
Oh
and
my.
is confronting Tom about if Tom told T-Bird to vote off Lex. And this was kind of funny to me because it was coming off the heels of her admitting that she was the rogue vote against him.
Yep,
So it's coming off the heels of her saying she lied to him.
yep.
Like, wouldn't he take it with like a little bit of like, okay, maybe she's lying to me here?
He probably wasn't thinking that. He was probably starving, tired, yada yada yada. Brain's not working fully.
Yeah, because he had 30, that was 37 days into the game,
Exactly.
which old new school players know nothing about. Or sorry,
Yeah.
new era players know nothing about. Shouldn't say new school. New era players know nothing about.
Post-COVID players.
Yeah, post COVID players know nothing about this. And Tom versus Lex, I'm Team Tom in this.
Yep. Yep.
Like I miss I miss immunity at tribal council.
Oh my gosh. I hate the fire making twist. It's
Everyone
like
hates a fire
if
making
you
twist.
vote at Final Four, fine, do fire making. But I hate how it's one person wins immunity, then they pick who goes up in fire making and yada yada yada. I just hate it.
Yeah, I miss having like a actual immunity challenge at tribal. Like bring that back.
Yes.
Get rid of this fire thing. Bring back a new thing. Although the challenge at tribal was answering questions about the jury, and I
Yep.
thought it was weird. I was like, these questions are weird because it's like, whose kids are these? And
Yeah.
they
Have
show them pictures, and it's like, how the hell are you supposed to know whose kids these are?
you've probably never seen pictures of their kids. Like even hearing their names, like you wouldn't know what they look like.
Yeah, and it's like you put like, and some kids don't look like their parents. Like some
Yeah.
kids don't look like their mom. Some kids don't look like their dad. Like, what do you
Yeah.
people like? What kind of questions that? Or like, what's the name of Frank's kids? How the hell am I supposed to know? I'm not listening to this shit coming out of Frank's mouth.
Exactly.
I mean, he carved it on his torch, but who's reading his torch?
Exactly.
Right? And it's just, it was just weird. Or Lindsay has a tattoo. Where is it? Like,
How would I
what?
know? I don't even what was it? It was on her lower back, right?
Yeah, or it was Brandon had a spider tattoo on his lower back. And it was like, who has a tattoo on the lower back? And it's like, Brandon? Brandon?
I knew someone had a tattoo on their lower back. See, the fact they remembered lower back goes to show I paid some semblance of attention.
Absolutely. I wish I could remember all the questions and then ask you right now, like, do you know these answers? And the answer would
Well,
probably be you
anything
don't know any of them.
tattoos. Tattoos. I remember tattoos. I will remember tattoos or if they're left-handed, because things that pertain more to me personally, I will remember more. Because I'll guarantee you this, right-handed people, they don't really remember like who's left-handed quite as much, but left-handed people, we all are like, oh, you're one of us.
For sure. Yeah, these questions, like I said, they were just bizarre. And it's like, who has a piercing? How the hell am I supposed to know that?
Oh, see, piercings I would know because I have a whole bunch on this side. I would know those because I pay attention for things that I have, but if I don't have it, I'm not gonna know it.
And Kim Johnson coming in clutch because she wins a clutch immunity to get to the Final Four,
Yep.
which was so iconic. Did you find it weird that they went right into the vote, like at the Final Four? Like after the immunity challenge, they just went like straight into the vote, like no talking.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just seemed bizarre. This was the end of, and I can't believe we never talked about this. Like, this is the first time we're bringing it up, but it was the end of the Baran boys.
Oh, yes.
The most iconic alliance of this season, Lex, Ethan, and Tom, the Baran
Yep.
boys. We didn't talk about them once. I mean,
I
we
know.
talked about each player individually, but
That's very true. We did talk about them all.
true. So I guess they did have some semblance, but it was just like these three, like this was an iconic alliance, I feel.
Yes, yes.
Justice for Big Tom. Because Big Tom gets voted out here 3-1. It's
I
justice
was
for him.
I was big sad about that.
I thought they were gonna vote Lex off,
So
honestly.
did I. I literally was convinced Lex was gonna be the one voted out.
Because who wants to do a final immunity with Lex?
Yeah.
Literally nobody. And then Jeff arriving at their camp at 4:30 in the morning.
That's lovely.
Like, yeah, who doesn't want to see Jeff just arriving at 4:30? Granted, one person was always up anyways because they had that thing where they had to keep watch,
Yeah.
and that was always funny.
Oh,
Just that was also something that was like I found just bizarre that they put them in a situation like that.
yeah. I would have been scared.
That would have been okay, but
Well, I would have
and then
been
we
scared
get
the person on watch is gonna fall asleep.
yeah, yeah, that makes. I think I probably would have fallen asleep too. That makes sense. Um, then we get the rites of passage,
Which is an iconic part of the game.
which is something that's missed,
Yes.
and I wish we see more of it. I wish
Oh,
we
I
could bring it
agree.
back
I thought there was like the option.
instead of this new cringe thing that they did in uh the new season where they tried to bring it back, but just with the jury.
Oh, yeah, that's not rites of passage. That's just the jury talking about who they want to win. And then they're probably not going to vote that way anyways.
Rites of patches. And then we get the final immunity challenge, and I miss this final immunity too. Like, there's a lot of stuff I miss on this.
Yeah.
So it's like they had to like hold the idol and see how long they can hold it for, and it's a
Yeah.
classic.
I remember they did in like Borneo.
It's classic. Like it's so classic, and Ethan almost collapses.
Yeah.
Like we see his, and he like lose like his leg like gives out, and Jeff. Then you see Jeff running up. You're out, Ethan.
Yeah.
Like he's sitting there like in his comfy chair like me, just like, yeah.
Yeah. But
You're
Ethan
out.
literally did it until he couldn't do it anymore. So kudos to Ethan for that.
Yeah. Yeah, do it till your leg gives out. Like that's my motto.
Yes.
But it was just like I said, Jeff was hilarious. Like Jeff's weird in these. Like
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
for sure. And the challenge lasts 3 hours and 21 minutes,
Which
which
is
I
a
thought was wow.
time.
Yeah, it's a decent chunk. Like I mean, it's not as long as the first immunity challenge that lasted 6 hours, but
Yeah, but
I'll give you
still.
some credit. And they probably started at like 7 or 8 in the morning,
Yep.
Africa time, because they want to get to the vote.
Oh, yes.
And they don't think these people are going to last 12 hours up there, but you never know.
Oh, yeah.
Tough break for Lexington because Lex ultimately doesn't win this, and
Yeah.
Kim Johnson comes out clutch again, which
Yes, she does. Hallelujah.
is another no. And in this thing, Kim refers to Lex as like Lex and Ethan as these two young bucks that she's going up against. Was Lex young?
Lex was in what, like his 30s?
Okay, so maybe yeah, because I'm in my 30s. I'm just beginning my 30s. So
Yeah, I'm in my mid-20s right now.
I mean, I guess in for Kim's perspective, they're younger than her significantly. So
Yes, because I think Lex was in his like mid-30s, probably like maybe like 35 roughly. I don't remember how old he was. I'm just guessing. I know Ethan was like my age, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just it was so that was just my thing. And then I got here, thanks for the explanation, Jeff, because at the final three tribal council, for a lot of these early seasons, Jeff goes into the explanation. Okay, Kim, here's how the voting will work this time. KAYLA has immunity. You can't vote for her. Matt can only vote for Eric. Eric can only vote for Matt. That cancels each other's votes out.
Yes,
KAYLA,
yeah.
you were the only one voting. He does this in all the old school seasons, and I just found it kind of iconic. And I
I
want
miss
the final two
it.
back.
I miss it. Bring back the final two.
Bring back the final two just so we can have Jeff do this explanation again.
Yes,
Please.
and because if we do the final two, then no final four fire making challenge
They still
nonsense.
might do the final four fire making challenge,
But it would be
but still
nonsense
just
stuff
bring a
because
final
it's
two.
not final immunity. So they
Eh,
probably wouldn't be doing it because you're not choosing who sits at final tribal council with you.
true. But does it like I said, just was funny. Justice for Lex Luthor.
Yes.
Like, and I put Lex Luthor because I just thought that would be funny. But we
Yes.
know it's Lex Vandenberg. But I love Lex.
Me too.
Like, he was one of my favorites this season.
He
Like
was very iconic in this season and in the All Stars season.
for sure. And oh, the Ultra season it was something else.
Yes.
God, that's one of the podcasts I'm dreading ever doing because that one has a lot of a lot of stuff.
Yes. You will not be seeing me volunteering for like a big season, like an All Stars, a Heroes versus Villains, Fans versus Favorites. Like you won't be seeing me volunteering for something like that. I would
To-
volunteer if you asked me about like Borneo, I'd be like, yeah.
yeah, totally fair. Totally fair. Plus, those ones I have a feeling are going to be the longer ones, so I don't think you want to sit. I
I
don't
have
think you want to
ADHD.
sit for 6 hours talking to me.
No, I have ADHD, so I need like the seasons that are like faster to get through.
For sure. I think I hear you got to vote one of them because they kind of showed the jury talking about how they don't really want to vote either of these people, but it's like, or Tom or Ethan saying like he thinks like that the jury's gonna vote Kim. Some people Kim saying some of the jurors gonna vote Ethan. Ethan like it's a toss up. It's like well they got to vote for one of you.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing with the final two seasons. You could take you guys the duos could literally be the biggest dicks in history of Survivor,
Yeah.
and you still have to vote one of them.
Oh yeah.
Um. So yeah, but Ethan with the bad reads because Ethan was like, I think like all the women are gonna vote Kim, and I think all the men are gonna vote me. That's a bad read.
Yeah.
Like that is an awful read. And then so there's no day 39 breakfast yet
Yeah.
in Africa. I don't know when they first introduced it, and I don't think I ever will.
I don't remember.
I don't think I could tell you that either. And yeah, so then we got that, and then we don't care, jury, because they do the walk to tribal, and each juror is explaining like how their what their criteria is and what they're doing and
Yes.
how they're doing
Yes.
it, and it's like I don't care. Like you're not giving us any information. But I will say I love Kelly, and we need to bring her back
Yes.
because Kelly was popping off in this. Like these two screwed me over the most, and like I'm so pissed off. Like because I've been sitting on there for so long, like waiting for this moment. It's like,
Yeah.
yes, girl,
If
pop
there's
off.
a season of bringing back like pre-jury members, like iconic pre-jury members, Silas should be brought back.
I think he's past his prime. I think a lot of these people are past their prime for
I
doing
mean, I
this.
know he's probably like in his 40s now.
Probably, I think. I have no idea, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's in his 40s now because he was 23 or something like that when the season aired.
Here's two notes that you and me can both agree on. Bring back the final two and this jury format.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I hate the new jury format. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
It doesn't benefit anybody, that old new jury format, but this jury format is just the best.
It's
Getting up
iconic.
and asking a question.
It's so much better that way. I like every finalist giving their opening speeches, each juror getting their own individual questions, and then the closing speech. I feel like it gives everyone more of a fair shot than as opposed to like certain jurors or finalists dominating everything.
Exactly. It works better for everybody. Bring that
Yeah.
back. Kelly comes up to ask her question, and we think she's gonna be asking like the hardest, toughest questions. She asks them to pick a number between 1 and 10.
Hey, Greg did that in season
Oh, sorry,
one.
1 in 1,000.
Oh, well, Greg did 1 through 10 in season one.
And it's still iconic. That's
Yeah,
what
and
we
you
need
know the funny
back.
thing is, the number that it was, like, I out loud picked a number when Greg had said it, like, before the other two picked it, and then, like, Greg revealed the number, and it was the number that I picked.
What was the number? Do you remember or no?
I don't remember. It might have been 9, but I don't remember for sure because I was 19 at the time, which was, oh, about almost 10 years ago at this point.
You know what? We'll get you back for the second round of uh off-season rewatches, and we'll watch Borneo.
You know, Borneo, I don't even think I need to rewatch it. I've probably watched that more than any other season. I have it memorized like the back of my
I
hand.
need to rewatch it because I've only ever seen it once, and that was
Oh
like a
my
couple
gosh.
years ago.
Well, the post Greg Bewis episodes I haven't seen that many times, but the ones that Greg was in, I've seen so many times.
Fair enough. Then Big Tom asks his question that makes him seem like he's the biggest bonehead ever, where he's like, if if a hyena eats your poop, or eats its own poop, or something to do with poop, and licks
Yep.
his hiney, is he licking it because he's hungry, or because it tasted good, or something like that? It was something like that, and I can't
Great.
remember
I
wish
don't
I knew
remember
the
the
exact what I wish I knew the exact quote, because
I don't know.
it was it was just hilarious. Something else that was hilarious was, I'd put here, I'd slam you too, Brandon, because Ethan slams Brandon in
Yeah.
his jury questions, which is why Brandon didn't vote for him. He's like, I
Which
was
is
gonna vote for
fair.
you.
That's bad
Totally
jury
fair.
management. That's bad jury management to like slam them in their own question, especially.
Totally fair. But you lob me this question. I'm gonna hit you with it. Because the question was, who on the jury is least deserving of sitting there? And he said him. That's a fair, valid answer, though, I feel.
Oh, I agree. I agree.
Like, so he should have still voted Ethan. Like, that's still a valid answer.
Yeah, it proves
Like,
that Ethan's not just trying to kiss up.
exactly. You screwed over your alliance.
Exactly.
Like, you deserve to be sitting where you are.
Yep.
So they go to vote for the winner, and then Jeff goes to get the votes, and they cut back to, now they're at the reunion, but
Yes.
they're all still dressed. They make them dress in the same outfits that they
Yes.
had on day 39.
Yes.
Why?
Which is so weird.
Right? Like, that's just bizarre. Ethan ends up winning 5-2, and I thought it was 6-1. Like, for the longest
Yeah.
time, I thought it was 6-1.
I don't remember who else voted for Kim.
I think it was Kim. Kim voted for Kim.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Like, that was to my knowledge. Like, I think Kim voted for Kim. Everyone else voted for Ethan. And it was, some of them probably largely due to sexism.
Fair, fair.
I think. Like, that's just my guess.
That's totally fair. Girls and guys are not treated the same on Survivor.
They really aren't, and it's an injustice.
Yes. Because there's
Absolutely.
like some great leader guy versus a bossy girl doing the same stuff.
Yeah. It Boggles the mind. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make
Yeah,
sense, Kayla.
not at all. Not at all.
You know I'm the survivor feminist.
Oh, 100%. Yes.
Like support. Like I want to see more badass females. I don't need to see these badass dudes anymore.
I agree with that.
That would be the worst season ever if the final four is a four alpha bro.
Actually, if they're all hot, I would be okay with it. But again, that's a different brain. That's not the head up here thinking.
If they're all hot, it's fine.
Yeah, but if they're not, then let them throw girls in instead.
Jeff Pro still didn't host the reunion yet at this point because we had to the Survivor Africa reunion and it's Brian Gumble.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember Brian Gumble?
Sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah, he was the dude who hosted it. He's mostly remembered for calling Ethan Zorn,
Whoops.
which is which is hilariously iconic. And Ethan's face too. Like he's like, "Excuse you?" And I thought he would have corrected him.
Probably was just like, eh.
Like, yeah. But that's all my notes because like there was the reunion. There's really nothing like
Mm.
ever major to talk about with a reunion, especially an old season reunion.
But yeah, there's not much.
Like why we rewatch it, I'll never know. Like the only thing is like you get to see the only reason any one of us ever tuned in for the reunion
Just to
was
see
to
what the
see
players
where
are right now.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
what my
where
mom
it's
and
going.
I do. Well, we liked the old reunions only because we liked to see what everybody looked like. So we don't like when they read the votes still there and we don't have the reunion show because we want to see what they look like a few months later.
Yeah, we want to see what they look like a few months later. We want to see like how things are going, like with now that they've seen the
Uh,
season. Also, like I said, and the only reason I stick around for the reunion was just to see where it's going next. Like that's
exactly.
it. Like I just want to see this preview for next week or next
Yeah.
season. Like that's
Yeah.
it.
I want to see what the players look like a few months later and the trailer, which I know comes at the end. So I will literally just like fast forward through the reunion and except
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah, and like I said, it's bizarre. It's weird, but we're both here for it.
Yes.
Like I said, there's nothing to talk about. But Kayla, I have another fun fact to drop on you. You ready for this?
Yes.
Did you know that there's a episode after the reunion
No.
called Back to Africa, Back from Africa,
I had no idea about that.
where they show all 16 players coming home and what their lives are like
Ooh, that's cool.
and their families' reactions. Are you being sarcastic? I feel like you're being sarcastic.
No, I think it's cool.
I don't think it's cool. I think it's weird.
I would be so interested to see what happens. I mean, I wouldn't want like a whole episode of it. I would want it like on like like YouTube, not like on as an episode.
Like just click to see where each person, like you can see Silas
Yeah, I would
meditating.
like a 2 minute video that says Silas post Africa, Kim J post Africa, etc., etc.
Silas post Africa, one of the things is he's meditating. I don't think he was shirtless, but I can't remember. But so there's you got that going for you.
Oh, yes, yes.
There's
You know
that.
what? It would be so funny if Silas now is like married with children and all that, and then here I am just
I think I could see that because it's been like what 20 some odd years.
something like that. But he's not on social media, so I wouldn't really know.
Yeah, probably for good reasons. I mean, like he probably doesn't even watch Survivor anymore.
Probably not.
But yeah. So Kayla, here's your question of the day that I'm gonna ask you.
Yep.
How long so the Back to Africa is set before season 4 begins.
Hmm.
How long do you think it was till season 4 began when they showed it?
What do you mean?
Okay, so like how long like the episode this Back to Africa airs,
Yep.
how much time do you think passes after that episode airs to the premiere of season 4? 1 week, 2 weeks.
I say it's probably almost instantaneous, but I don't know.
It was a month.
A
Because
month? Wow.
he says they show the season 4 preview, and then Jeff says we'll see you in a month for Survivor, the Marquesas.
Wow. I would guess it would be like instantaneous because for whatever reason, my mind seasons were more like back to back in the day.
Yeah, you'd think, right? Like I don't remember ever seeing this like on air ever, though, like on TV ever.
And
So
I don't remember seeing like that type of stuff on Hulu when I was watching old
yeah.
seasons.
So clearly it's the thing only DVDs provided.
Yeah.
Or no real Survivor fans ever watch this.
Yes.
Because who cares? I don't
Exactly.
need to know about their lives when they get back.
I mean, I would be interested in that, but more as like on like a YouTube video as opposed to like as an episode.
I have a spoiler alert for you. YouTube wasn't a thing back then.
Oh, I know it wasn't. Because it was invented when I was like 7 or 8. And we already
Yeah,
established I was about 5.
yeah, yeah. No, it wasn't a thing yet. But
I'm
that
because I know it was invented when I was around 7 or 9.
for sure. But that was Survivor Africa. KAYLA,
Woohoo!
we did it. How
Yeah.
would you rate the season? Like, did you like the season? Does it still hold up?
I did like this season. I think I would probably give it like a 7 or an 8 because it was good, but it wasn't like my all-time favorite. And it doesn't have the same nostalgia factor that something like Borneo has for being like the literal first season, but it has some nostalgia.
And I'm trying to find this
Pretty
because
cool.
do you remember back in the a while back I did that old like Survivor countdown questionnaire on the Survivor fan jury thing where I tried to do a rewatch of the first 42 seasons, but I never finished it. I only watched the 3 worst seasons on it.
Yep.
I'm gonna find I still have the rankings of that thing.
Uh-huh.
So keep in mind that this was based off the first 42 seasons. Where do
Okay.
you think it placed?
Probably middle tier, maybe bottom middle.
Do you have an exact thing or no? You want to try and make an exact guess?
Pick a number.
Between 1
40.
and 42.
Probably like 28.
You're close. You're in the range. So
Where is
it
it?
was between 21 and 30th. It was 23rd.
Well, I was close.
Yeah, it was ranked 23rd overall, which is interesting. Ironically, it was Heroes versus Villains at Pearl Islands that were the top
That does not
of
surprise
that
me.
season.
Where's Borneo? I feel like that's probably like a little bit higher, but not much.
Borneo's 20th.
Like I said, a little bit higher than Africa, but not much. 20th
Yeah,
is a little bit higher, but not much than 23.
it is one placement higher than a season that had all the winners at
Wow.
war. So it's one placement higher than that. And season 42 was ranked at 18th place in that poll. So I'd like to
Wow.
I think we should be justice for Borneo here.
Yeah, Borneo being that low is just a travesty.
So and I tried, like I said,
My top 5.
I
Borneo's in
tried to
my
do,
top 5.
yeah, I tried to do the rewatch of like in that thing, but I could never pulled it off. I only ended up seeing the 3 worst seasons, which were Thailand, Redemption Island, and Islands of the Idols.
Sounds about right to me.
And then I stopped because next one was Heroes versus Healers versus Hustlers. Ew, that's title's still a mouthful.
Yeah, no, I don't think I'll ever rewatch that season. Once was more than enough for me.
For sure. So yeah, so this was the 23rd place season on my polls.
Woohoo!
Which is good. I mean, hey, at least I'm getting to these.
Exactly.
So, KAYLA,
Yep.
any final thoughts on Survivor
Um,
Africa?
Silas is hot. That's about it.
There we go. KAYLA's wisdom for the day. Silas was hot.
Silas, if you're watching this,
I can guarantee you he is not.
Yeah, I was gonna say that would be so embarrassing.
I guarantee you he's not. If I get reached out by a guy in the next few days that's Silas, I'm going to assume it's a bot.
Oh, Silas doesn't have social media from my knowledge because I neither does Greg Buis because I would have found it. But some of
You
my
1000.
other earlier Survivor boyfriends do, like Ryan Aiken from season 6. That was a whole big ordeal that I'm not going to get into.
We don't have to get into it. So, yes. And I also find this kind of ironic that we're talking about Africa today because yesterday on my YouTube show, Survivor What If, the episode was episode 3, where we talked about the alternate universe of Survivor Africa.
Oh, how did that go?
Very interesting. To check
Nice.
it out, you have to go to my YouTube channel to check that out. So go to King Frick Fresh's YouTube channel for the weekly episodic Survivor What If leading up to Survivor 46
Woohoo!
for that. So tune in for that. That's the plug. Next time on the Off Season Survivor podcast, KAYLA, where do you think we're going next?
I don't remember which seasons you said were gonna be rewatched.
We're going to I've started Survivor China. Going to China, baby.
Woohoo!
Season 15. And that guest on that one will be the Survivor 46 co-host, Matt.
Oh well, shout out to the Survivor China winner Todd. He's a cool cat.
He is. He really is. And I got through the early stages of this season and just seeing him in action was iconic.
And talking to him on Facebook, also iconic. I'm in one of his group chats.
Nice. There you go. KAYLA, thank you
Of
for
course.
coming along for this ride
Of course, this was
as we
fun.
watched
I'd be
Survivor
listening.
Africa. This was iconic.
Yes.
Thanks
yes, it was.
everyone for tuning in, and we will catch you on the flip side, and we'll be back for the off-season second bonus episode content thingy with Survivor China.
Woohoo!
Where's that damn stop button?